So earlier when I made that first video, I was actually on lunch. I went home, and I live only 5 minutes away from uh, work and where I'm currently moving. I just moved to a new place, and um, I'm really sorry about the echoing. It's just this kind of open space, and I can't do anything about that. I moved the mic a little bit closer, so there's going to be a little bit of echoing for that. Uh, I'm sorry. That might be just something you have to deal with until I figure out something. I don't know. I was glad to be at work today. I focusing on the work and solving things on my own was a very good distraction that I needed. Um, there's just the situation I've been going through lately, and with a lot of women actually. But this is kind of a unique situation, um, because I realistically don't see it working out in the long term, but I'm so desperate for some sort of affection and something to offset not having anybody or just wanting to give something that I'm willing to put up with it. And basically, what happened this weekend is she was just in a really salty mood, always, and I couldn't pick up on the hint that she was leaving, that she basically didn't want me around. She wanted me to go do my own thing, and I wouldn't have had a problem doing that. I went back to she's from up north, so she spent the night a couple nights, and we went back up north. You know, I would have been fine going to a bar with my friend who I haven't seen in a while or whatever, or even just staying at home. That's, you know, where my family is. But I just got drunk, and I stayed drunk wherever I was with her because she was just so short and dismissive and snappy, and I didn't really know what to do with myself. I felt like I was around somebody who clearly didn't want to be around me, and for whatever reason, I chose to put up with it. I didn't leave, and that could have been because I was drunk and trying to figure out something, or I don't know. It went on the whole weekend, and I felt emasculated coming into this week, and it wasn't fun. It's not fun. I'm still experiencing that right now. And in fact, it's not until about 10 minutes ago when I texted her and I said, I'm not feeling that way ever again. I'm not going to put myself in that situation ever again. And I told her this last Sunday. Today's Tuesday. I said, I can't do this anymore. I told her that. And she ended up calling me on the phone and apologizing for being a bitch this weekend. But it's like once I get over it, it's hard to go back. And I'm trying. And I don't know why I'm trying, because as I initially stated, I don't see it working out in the long term, but I just can't help myself. I'm on Tinder, I'm on OkCupid. I have no problem talking to women. I've set up so many dates, and I know I'm not going to go to them. They're obviously interested, and if it's like it makes me feel good about myself to know that I can do that. To know it's like it doesn't do it for me anymore. But at the same time, this doesn't do it for me either, and it's like I do it because I'm bored. It's like a video game or something. I don't like it. But then I'll buy into it, and this is where getting drunk really helps, and this is why I need to cut back on my drinking, is because it makes me think that that's okay. If I get drunk, like hell, the day I was hungover Sunday, I was at her house. She was at work. She worked that morning. I just hung out there, and she left, and I was trying to find a way to break out, like literally break out of the house without, because I didn't know how to lock it from the inside and leave. And I was on Tinder. I was hungover. I messaged like 5 girls, and I had conversations going. I set up a date for this upcoming weekend with somebody I talked to months ago. It's just that vacuum for affection was so powerful. And I felt so emasculated. I was like, God, I got to work on my next step. I got to get affection. I got to get it. And it's totally unsustainable. And I feel shitty about that. And I'm so thankful that I can just work. Because when I can work, I don't have to think about that because of this election cycle and all the analysis going on. I'm watching all the debates and I'm watching the news, and it's my kind of obnoxious way of trying to intellectualize everything. Instead of think about stuff that I probably need to think about, instead of figuring out what I want in life and figure out what the fuck is going on romantically with me. Like, what? Why am I in this situation? I made so many terrible choices. I moved in here. My first night, I secured the affections of somebody who I talked to months ago. She was edgy about it, and I was edgy about it, and very tentative. She came over and she bought into it, and Jesus, she fell in love overnight, and I just did not feel the same way back. And so there's that. And then I meet up with somebody else within the same first week. In fact, I had to figure out how to use foundation to cover hickeys from the first girl while I went on this date. And so it was a success. And then I traveled to Chicago. I'm from Seattle. I traveled to Chicago for training for my new job. And she messages me and it's just like, well, what's going on? And I'm just like giving non-answers because I'm actually talking to somebody else and another person. It's just like, give me affection, or else I'm going to fall apart. And it's not fair. It's not fair to any of these people. And I've become so numb to that stuff. And it's because I used to get so over goddamn invested in these types of things. And now I almost feel like it's a rush of power and assertiveness to kind of treat people as options the same way I was treated. What I feel like was a lot of times before in unfair situations, and really I put myself there, so I have a hard time thinking I have no obligation, and I'm so willing to reciprocate effort that I'm in a situation I'm in right now where this girl was putting forth effort. Because she did that, I did shit at great personal cost, like go through this whole last weekend where she emasculated me, and I feel like shit right now about it, and I don't want to go on these dates. I don't want to... She's texting me right now. Here, let me get up. I'll read the goddamn text message. She probably sent more of them. Yeah, I just don't want to talk to her, and she says to me, did you pass out or are you just playing games? Truth be told, I think I'm playing games. And I said I was talking about the election because I'm always talking about the election, always interested. Of course, it's not true. And the truth just started coming out, and I said the same thing about how it's so obnoxious when I'm feeling like shit that I tend to drive myself into analysis to intellectualize something else at the cost of not doing what I'm doing right now and talking something out and trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And I finally said it. I said, I'm pissed at myself for this weekend. I feel weak and stupid, and that's going to take a bit to get over. And it's not happening again. That's the last time in my life that I choose to feel like that and choose to be in that type of situation. And she says, now I feel like I did something wrong. To which I said, and then this is the last string of text before she just read it. I'm going to close it before she reads it, or else I'll just go on and on. I said it was my choice to stick around. This weekend, when we went to one place and we went to another, I shouldn't have stuck around. And even though I couldn't successfully intuit what she wanted, it was intolerable for me to be there. That's all I'm going to read. She just responded, but it's not about her. These are all my choices. I shouldn't even be... The first time I showed up to her house, it was some very run-down, like 30, 40-year-old house, and she said she was just moving out. And I was busy all day. I was up for like 20 hours, so I said, hey, can I take a nap at your house for like 20 minutes, and then we'll go out and do something. And I brought some alcohol because that gives me energy. And we were basically, I was going to nap for 20 minutes, get some coffee, drink a lot, and then be good to go. Because that's what I do when I go out and I'm tired, because that seems to get me going. And I wouldn't advise doing that a lot, by the way. It sucks. Because then I don't want to stop drinking. Anyway, I napped there on this just super dirty couch in the corner of a room with the window open, and everything was just falling apart, and I was just like, okay, whatever, I'll try to sleep. And then she invites me downstairs, and it's this mattress amongst this whole myriad of junk everywhere. Her clothes are everywhere. There's no paper towels. There's nothing. There's nothing that a human needs for like survival. It was just so decrepit. Decrepit, that's the word. And I just didn't know what to think. I was like, I obviously can't be in a relationship with this person. Look at how messy she is. And instantly, my expectations were just let down right there. And I'm aware that's judgmental or whatever, but come on. It was a fucking mess. And that, to the extent that it reflected on her. Like, if you had a few things out of place, this was a shit, dirty-ass carpet. There was a cat litter box in the room. Look, I'm not OCD. I leave messes, and it was bad. But I chose to lay down, nap, get high, which is the first time I hadn't done in a long time. Marijuana. I stopped doing hard stuff in very brief stint in 2011, and I haven't done it since. So, I got high, drank more, had a good time, and she started touching me on the bed, and I touched her back, and I can instantly tell just from feeling her and intuiting her body movements that she wanted to have sex. And we did, right there. It just, bam, right there. And it was great. And then we went out and we had a good time, and I met her friend, but I feel like I gave up a piece of myself to do that, because I knew that it wasn't somebody that I probably want to be with in the long term. She just turned out to be a very ugly person. Not physically, but just kind of... Let's just say that over the past 3 weeks since that's happened, my expectations were let down a little bit more as time went on, but because of these brief stints of affection that she was able to give me, I allowed it to continue. And I still want to. I don't know why. Well, maybe I do know why. Maybe I'm just so desperate for affection, I'm so unwilling to stand up for myself that I'll tolerate it. But because I've done that, there's this tension. It's hard to talk to her. Like, right after I told her I didn't want to do it anymore and she apologized, I visited her later that night. We went out to dinner, and I felt like I couldn't say anything. I felt so on edge and so rattled that I didn't say shit. I didn't know what to say. I didn't feel comfortable being me. So when I sent her that text message, like, it's going to take a bit to get over this, I think what I mean to say is, I don't feel comfortable talking to you right now, because the image that you gave me, you being pissy this last weekend, is the image that I've now associated with you. I don't say in my head that you were just pissy. I say you are pissy. That's you. You are a negative person. To the extent that I hadn't seen something like that for years, and I told her it was just, I was shocked. I was flabbergasted, and I had to be drunk that whole weekend just to get through it. My God. I'm talking about, this is the number one thing on my mind right now. I would like to go to sleep. I would like to, I'm sweating right now. I just want to sleep. I don't want to think about this anymore. But I'm locked. Because I feel like I have this obligation that if she reciprocates an inch, then I'll give a foot. Even if she doesn't give a foot back, I'm just so willing to give that I'll take the inch. When there's somebody out there who's going to give me an entire foot back, or 2 feet back, or 3 feet back, and I've been in those kind of situations, and I took those for granted. Naturally, of course, right? That's what guys like me, that always happens. It's like as soon as we get something that's great, as soon as we get somebody that wants to settle down and marry us and feels strongly about us, then it's just like, for whatever reason, loses its novelty because we have to find some new source to get validation from, because there's no possible further validation you can get from somebody who actually cares about you. And I gotta be honest, I'm not being cared about is just, maybe in one of these I'll talk about my family, but it's not something I'm used to. Anyways, I gotta get the fuck to bed because I have to wake up in about 8 hours and 15 minutes so I can be a functional human being and not want to just fall asleep at work. So, good night.